Skin in the Game by Nassim Taleb. I wish I had this on camera, but my cat Sugar just caught a glimpse of the first snow in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this year. That started probably 20 minutes ago, and I'm really scared because we just moved here. And Pennsylvania winters are crazy. Anyway, that has literally nothing to do with this book at all. So, well, I guess it is. I mean, it's randomness, and that's something that this guy likes to talk about. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal. Because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, please make sure to smash that like button. A year or two ago, I reviewed Nassim Taleb's groundbreakers, Black Swan and Anti-Fragile. And let me tell you, they are strange. Everything about them. The avant-garde storytelling, his dark sense of jabby, sarcastic humor, his at times depressing life outlooks. It's not exactly for the faint of heart, and I reviewed over 250 books on this channel, but I didn't find those very easy to follow. One could say his style and his work, they're out there, or I'm just stupid, or both. When we're going over the chapters, I'm going to take a second every now and then to just consider with you how absurd their titles are alone. But in this video, we're going to discuss this book. Is it actually good? Is it worth getting if you have checked out his other ones? Are they any different? Are they similar? How so? I'm also going to go over some standout quotes from the book, who I recommend the book to, and what books to maybe check out next. He divided Skin in the Game into 8 different books, which I think might be a little complicated if this is a book review. It's like, what book are you talking about? Are you talking about the whole book, or are you talking about one of the books of the 8 different books? Aren't there are 8 different books? If they're all part of one book, does that make it 9 books? I don't know. Book 1 is Introduction, Antaeus Whacked. This was like Yearbook by Seth Rogen. When I ran into certain words writing down the part names, I had to fix autocorrections like 3 times. It's like when you're texting someone and you write a curse word and it's like, bro, I know that I did not say fogic or fork. It thought Antaeus was anyway, Incerto was in error, and lindy was lineup. And of those 3 words, I probably just incorrectly pronounced 2 of them. But the fact of the matter is, hidden asymmetries in life cannot be an easy topic to discuss. And I just don't blame him. For those wondering, Antaeus was the son of, get this, Poseidon and Earth. I guess Poseidon and Earth made a baby. I don't know how. The way Taleb talks about randomness in this book, it sounds rather philosophical. But like everything that has to do with him, it's peculiar. He has this constant focus on being a practitioner and not a theorist or academic. He really seems to hate academics. When he says things like, academics know absolutely nothing about risk, his exact words, it makes me wonder what happened to him in college, you know? Taleb refers to schools as high security prisons. In A Brief Tour of Symmetry, and I guess throughout the book, he introduces concept names in Latin translations. And I don't understand why. Like, is this extra? Like, there has to be something I'm missing here. This chapter took the golden rule, do unto others what you would have them do to you. And he basically took that and he took it in his hand and then he put it in a blender and then he asked everyone, will it blend? And then he did, and then he was like, now we have the silver rule. It's like, what? This whole chapter sounded like a blizzard of different ways to praise risk and experience and scoff at academics and irrationality. At the time of writing, science is being taken over by vendors using it to sell products like margarine or genetically modified solutions, and ironically, the skeptical enterprise is being used to silence skeptics. That's really what it's being used for? Only that? Not to make money or like do business or anything like that? Doesn't what I just quoted, doesn't that have like some sort of a judgmental flavor to it? I listened to this and began to think, what do I talk to people about and not do myself? Perhaps in some ways the book unknowingly preaches authenticity. He's saying like, well, politicians don't have skin in the game, but activists do. People who seek awards don't have skin in the game, but people who work for everything do. In a sense, this is his most motivational book I've checked out. Book 2 is a first look at agency. Here, Ladies and gentlemen, we have a really weird chapter title. The other ones weren't weird at all. Why each one should eat his own turtles. Equality in uncertainty. This one delved into the whole ethics versus skill, which one's more important discussion, from an options trader's and salesman's point of view. And then he went into the different schools of thought behind them, like the Talmud and Stoicism. Book 3 is the greatest asymmetry. The most intolerant wins, the dominance of the stubborn minority. This one explained, for example, how Islam out-stubborned Christianity with its intolerance. He begins it with a description of the minority rule, which over time became more universal. And in this chapter, he referred to an economics professor, not a specific one, but literally just an economics professor. He referred to them as an evil person. I'm telling you, this guy has some kind of problem with teachers, students, and schools. And he went to Wharton, by the way. So it's not like it's not like he hasn't been to schools. And if I didn't mention this before, the mind of how he gets his points across, it definitely has its own personality, but this type of story is something you could probably expect more out of a Jordan Peterson type of book. Book 4 is Wolves Amongst Dogs. How to legally own another person. What? How to legally own another person? What the hell? That's the name of this chapter. This was obviously not a tutorial, although coming from a true practitioner. This chapter reminded me a little bit of Unscripted by MJ DeMarco. Although this dude's writing style and MJ DeMarco's writing style are so wildly different from each other, it's absurd. Again, everything in this guy's work is absurd. But Skin in the Game, this book is much easier to understand than his others I've checked out. Those books, Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, those are criticized for overusing French wall art references, braggadocio-littered personal stories, and overly used Latin translations of concept names. Skin in the Game really kept that to a minimum. It's much more focused, and all the fluff that some might argue was in Black Swan, for example, that's like,
well, without the fluff, it would be half its own length.
That's not really in Skin in the Game, and what do you know? It's half the length. Book 5 is Being Alive Means Taking Certain Risks. The chapter, The Intellectual Yet Idiot. This kind of sounds like me, but I hope it's not. It's an intelligent, well-pedigreed person who tells us what to do, what to think, how to act, what to eat, etc. I don't do that, do I? I'm not that demanding of you guys. Because it sounds to me like the type of person you just wouldn't want to be around. But at the same time, if you did want to be around them, you'd probably learn a lot and notice that you're trying not to begin to hate yourself doing so. In Inequality and Skin in the Game, he proposes that there are two different inequalities. What? How can there be two different inequalities? If you're not equal to someone, you're not equal to someone. Maybe this has to be just one way of looking at it, but some people, and this is an interesting way to look at it, it can be useful for sure. Some people you like to be unequal to. And I think that's a good thing, because I think he's talking about people who you can always look up to and learn from. If you get literally nothing else out of this entire review, I hope that you understand this. I mean, if you're at the very, very top of your class, there might be another class that you might be a little bit interested in, at which you're not at the top of. And that's inequality. It is. The other inequality, well, I think a lot of us know a thing or two more about. But the author advises us to resent people at the top of fame or riches with no skin in the game. In the following chapter, an expert called Lindy, he put Lindy on a pedestal. Lindy is the name of a cheesecake shop in New York. I don't know what that had to do with anything. It was very hard for me to pick up what exactly that had to do with risk and skin in the game, but this was still a pretty solid chapter. The Lindy effect is a term that he coined. It's that the longer something's been around, the longer it will likely continue to be around. Of course, what are the odds? Lindy, the shop, closed down 2 months after Skin in the Game was published. Book 6 is Deeper into Agency. Surgeons shouldn't look like surgeons. Like, why would anyone say this? Let's talk about it, because this is strange. Okay, so imagine having a heart issue and you can choose between two surgeons to take care of it for you. A surgeon who basically looks like every top surgeon you've seen on TV. I'm just using pictures of people from Grey's Anatomy because that's the only show that has surgeons in it on TV that I've seen. You can choose between that or another surgeon who looks like a butcher. basically. He's rather poorly kept, he's not that articulate. It's just everything that you would imagine in a not so stereotypical surgeon. The author proposes that the surgeon who doesn't look the part, he would definitely choose, because that surgeon, as a result, had much more to overcome in terms of perception. So he has skin in the game that the other one doesn't. Very just strange logic. There's also that millionaire next door who looks like you look at his clothing and it looks like he makes like $7,000 a year. The best-selling books I've reviewed, pretty much all of them have really ugly covers, including that one. All of these stem from having experience and taking action, aka skin in the game. So it makes sense. The following chapter, only the rich are poisoned. The preference of others. Again, just strange logic. Here's one part that stood out from this chapter. When people get rich, they lose control of their preferences, substituting constructive preferences for their own, complicating their lives unnecessarily, triggering their own misery, and these constructive preferences are of course the preferences of those who want to sell them something. This is a skin in the game problem, as the choices of the rich are dictated by others who have something to gain and no side effects from the sale, and given that they're rich and their employers not often so, nobody would shout, "Victim! No, I'm a victim!" So other people make choices for you when you become rich? Also, how do salespeople not get rich? Also, a lot of people who get rich originally were salespeople, and they understand how sales work. So, what? Deeds before words reminded me of the whole, if you're gonna write a negative Google review, don't tell anyone that you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna talk to the manager. I wanna write a negative Google review.
Just write it. How many negative Google reviews have I written without telling someone I'm gonna do it? Like, don't threaten someone that you're gonna hit them. Just take a bunch of pictures of what they're doing. Especially if it's in public, they will stop immediately. Who would have expected a rectangular piece of metal to become such a weapon? With a glass screen that you're not breaking over someone's head. The merchandising of virtue explains the exploitation of virtue for image, personal gain, social status, etc. Taleb said that he knows of no ethical system that allows a person to drown without helping him because other people aren't helping. No system that says, I'll save other people from drowning only if other people save other people from drowning. It's hard to follow, isn't it? But he's saying that if your private life goes against your intellectual opinion, it cancels out your intellectual ideas, not your private life. This is just, it's stuff that you probably just wouldn't really have an opinion on. And if you do, it's probably a strong opinion. That might be why he's not that well known, but he's still known to be kind of controversial. Again, more against the academic side of society, in Peace, Neither Ink Nor Blood, spending part of your life reading archives in a stack of the Yale Library doesn't fit the non-academic temperament of someone who has to be aware and watch his back, say a debt collector from the mafia or a pit speculator in fast commodity. If you don't get this, you are an academic. It's like stereotyping. Like, what happened to this guy in college that he seems to hate academics so much? Book 7, Religion, Belief, and Skin in the Game. The next chapter, it's called They Don't Know What They're Talking About When They Talk About Religion. What a long chapter name. What is that? This whole section reminded me of Jordan Peterson, the whole thing. And then No Worship Without Skin in the Game. Here he addresses things like Lent and sacrifice and how they're examples of skin in the game with religion. Allegedly, what all religions have in common, a lot of people think it's like, oh yeah, whatever God we worship, it's all the same God. I don't know about that, because aren't there like religions that believe that like there's no God, but like to worship, I don't even know what. Nothing? I don't know. There are just a lot of religions, but what they all allegedly have in common is a commitment. And last but not least, Book 8, Risk and Rationality. How to be rational about rationality. Many interpretations of the word rational are actually ill-defined to be used for beliefs, but you can use them for action. You'll also get better results often if you make occasional errors, as you'll aim slightly away from the target when shooting and you'll learn something from it. Errors of like little cost, they tend to lead to big discoveries. Most medical discoveries, in fact, are actually accidental to something else. A perfect world, it wouldn't have penicillin, chemotherapy, really any drugs, and almost no humans. Almost no humans. what? Skin in the Game, I don't know if you could tell, to me it was actually pretty comprehensive. It's definitely easier to understand than his other works, more on the motivational side of things, but definitely complex, cerebral, hard-headed, and sardonic like you could expect from any Taleb book. At this point, he managed to keep everything focused, and he also managed to talk about a different topic from his other works so that he doesn't sound like a broken record here. The term black swan and anti-fragility, they're not mentioned too many times, and I am definitely looking forward to reviewing some more Taleb. Quotes. In academia, there is no difference between academia and the real world. In the real world, there is. The experience of the system is different from that of individuals. It is grounded in filtering. You don't want to win an argument. You want to win. If something stupid works and makes money, it can't be stupid. Those who talk should do, and only those who do should talk. Someone getting rich is not taking dollars from your pocket. Odds are he's even putting some in yours. The good is not as good as the absence of bad. Would you rather be the world's greatest lover and have everyone think you're the world's worst lover, or be the world's worst lover and have everyone think you're the world's greatest lover? Love without sacrifice is theft. Direction 1. This book I recommend for the thinker, maybe the skeptical thinker, and someone whose skin is not as thick as they would like it to be, especially from a business perspective. Direction 2. If you like this book, his other book, Anti-Fragility, came in mind, about how things tend to benefit from disorder, and also Beyond Order by Jordan Peterson is a really badass book. Skin in the Game by Nassim Taleb. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. If you guys buy anything through the links in the description, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. Other than that, please make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far in my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.